Do you consider yourself to be free? Ponder carefully before responding. Upon waking, your first instinct is to reach for your phone, mindlessly scrolling in search of novelty, a distraction. Subsequently, perhaps a cup of coffee to stimulate dopamine release while viewing a brief video or listening to a song to alleviate monotony. During your commute to work or school, you continue to inundate yourself with stimuli, such as podcasts, social media, and incessant notifications. And in those rare moments of silence that eventually arise, what occurs? A sense of discomfort emerges, a void that compels you to pursue yet another diversion, another immediate source of pleasure. The issue lies not in pleasure itself. Pleasure serves as a natural mechanism of the human psyche, an evolutionary drive compelling us to seek what ensures our survival. However, what transpires when pleasure transforms into a self-imposed confinement? When the incessant pursuit of positive sensations leads us into an unending cycle of instant gratification. Aldous Huxley foresaw this scenario nearly a century ago. While George Orwell cautioned us about a future dominated by oppressive regimes in 1984, Huxley envisioned a more alarming prospect. A world in which individuals do not need coercion to comply because they are so thoroughly entertained, so inundated with pleasurable stimuli that the thought of resistance never crosses their minds. A realm where slavery requires no physical restraints, for people are content in their subservience. Take a moment to observe your surroundings. What is the prevailing sight? A society fixated on entertainment, indulging in unlimited pleasures, and constantly pursuing immediate gratification to alleviate any discomfort. However, what is the true cost of this lifestyle? Does the relentless chase for instant happiness genuinely set you free, or is it merely a mechanism that keeps you ensnared? In this presentation, we will delve into how contemporary society conditions us to prioritize pleasure as a means of control, and how this reliance might be shaping you into an unforeseen entity, a willing captive. If you believe you hold dominion over your own thoughts, it is imperative to continue watching, as you may uncover a startling revelation that perhaps you have never been in control. The most effective form of bondage requires no physical restraints, no coercion, no perpetual surveillance. It thrives on something simple, yet incredibly potent: pleasure. As pleasure takes precedence in one's life, subjugation masquerades as freedom. This concept precisely mirrors Huxley's prophetic vision in Brave New World. Envision a realm where critical thinking is scarce, as people are incessantly amused. The pursuit of purpose is supplanted by the consumption of mindless diversions. In a world where pleasure is not a mere option, but an enforced mandate, Huxley painted a dystopia where individuals are conditioned from birth to evade all discomfort. Whenever a sense of negativity surfaces, be it unease or existential perplexity, there exists an instant remedy: soma, the ultimate sedative that leaves the masses numb and compliant. Yet, is this realm truly confined to fiction? Reflect on your daily routines. When confronted with tedium, melancholy, or exasperation, what is your instinctual response? Do you pause to comprehend those emotions, or do you immediately seek solace in diversions such as social media, television shows, food, alcohol, shopping, sexual gratification, pornography, or gaming? The list goes on endlessly. In today's era of instant gratification, individuals can easily mask any discomfort with a mere tap on their screens. The void is avoided by seeking out more pleasure, forming a cycle that appears to stem from personal choice. Nobody is coercing one to indulge in entertainment around the clock or spend endless hours on social media platforms like Instagram or TikTok. Despite the apparent freedom of choice, breaking away from these habits proves to be a challenging feat due to conditioning. Habitual seeking of immediate pleasure as a remedy for discomfort ingrains a belief that this is the norm. Gradually, the ability to cope with boredom, silence, and introspection diminishes, leading to a reliance on external stimuli. This aligns with Huxley's vision of contented individuals ensnared by pleasure rather than coercion, unpacking how conditioning dissuades critical thinking and perpetuates addictive behaviors shall be the focus of our forthcoming discussion. If you find resonance with this topic, kindly hit the subscribe button to stay updated. Your support is greatly appreciated. Have you ever pondered the difficulty in breaking these patterns? Despite being conscious of the need for productivity, the impulse to turn to your phone persists, beckoning for a new distraction, a fresh notification, or an additional form of stimulus. At no point does this occurrence arise by chance. Your preparation for such has been deliberate. From the time of birth, we are conditioned to evade discomfort at any expense. The educational framework does not instill critical thinking but enforces rote memorization. The labor market teaches us to output, not to contemplate. The entertainment culture inundates us with constant diversions, preventing us from questioning our surroundings. The cumulative effect of these factors fosters a society where the true peril is not an authoritative regime limiting freedom of expression, but a system that extinguishes our interest in seeking it entirely. Huxley comprehended this concept better than any other. In Brave New World, citizens did not require harsh repression. Instead, they were trained to embrace their own subjugation. From a young age, they were exposed to hypnopedic techniques, messages reiterated during slumber, molding their beliefs imperceptibly. Phrases such as "everyone belongs to everyone" and "a gram of soma solves all" were ingrained in their consciousness to deter any form of inquiry. They matured with the conviction that fulfillment was found in compliance, in avoiding profound reflection and evading all forms of suffering. Now, contemplate how this translates to our actuality. Present-day conditioning does not occur through hypnopedic methods, but via social media algorithms, corporate marketing, and the inundation of stimuli that mold your conduct without your awareness. Each time a notification arrives, your brain releases dopamine. Each instance, a brief video imparts new knowledge effortlessly. You grow accustomed to relinquishing independent thought. And every instance where you are rewarded for adhering, whether through likes, social affirmation, or immediate gratification, bolsters the notion that this is the correct course of action. The impact of this phenomenon is a complete generation of individuals who are unable to be alone with their own thoughts, incapable of coping with discomfort, and lacking the ability to question the system due to a loss of critical thinking skills. Ultimately, the control of the masses does not necessitate a dictatorship when they themselves reject any concept that demands intellectual effort. However, this rejection of critical thinking does not come without consequences. When we evade discomfort at all costs, we end up growing more fragile, malleable, and susceptible. Consistent pursuit of pleasure renders us weaker, and artificial happiness may transform us into increasingly passive beings. But how does this transformation occur? How can the allure of a pain-free world lead us to complete submissiveness? This will be explored in the following section. Picture a world devoid of suffering, where all pains are swiftly eradicated, and where sadness, frustration, and anxiety do not exist. It sounds idyllic, doesn't it? Now, consider this scenario more closely. What becomes of an individual who never encounters challenges? What becomes of a whole society conditioned to evade any form of discomfort? The answer is straightforward. They become feeble. Huxley astutely identified this ensnarement in Brave New World, where contentment was ensured through incessant consumption of soma, the flawless drug. Devoid of side effects and risks, it offered only immediate gratification. But what did this happiness truly signify? It signified a lack of ability to confront pain, frustration, or even one's own consciousness. Each discomforting thought dissipated with a chemical offering of solace. Life unfolded as an unending succession of shallow delights. Sex, entertainment, consumption, any deviation from this routine was viewed as a menace. Survey your surroundings now. The contemporary world may lack soma, yet it boasts its own variations. Social media platforms proffer swift validations. Dating applications vanquish the dread of rejection. Algorithms furnish precisely what we desire ere we even acknowledge it. Everything is meticulously crafted to eradicate any unease, any void, any necessity for exertion. However, this perpetual evasion of distress exacts a toll, and that toll is our own mental fortitude. The stark verity remains that pain serves a function. Tribulation molds resilience. Frustration instructs us to prosper. Adversity compels us to grow. Yet, when every obstacle is softened, when all predicaments are sidestepped, our fragility escalates. Presently, any discomfort appears insupportable. Minor setbacks escalate into existential dilemmas. Petty discordance appears monumental catastrophes. Anything demanding patience or diligence is discarded, since we have been conditioned to seek the path of least resistance, immediate gratification, swift remedies. And this renders us susceptible to manipulation. A society comprising robust, resilient individuals who embrace discomfort and glean wisdom from it shall never be compliant. It will never acquiesce to subsisting under a regime that curtails its liberty. Conversely, a society comprised of emotionally reliant individuals reliant on perpetual stimuli to evade vacuity, who shun all forms of suffering, shall be compliant. It shall be malleable. It shall be the ideal society for those who covet authority without resorting to coercion. And thus, the ensnarement is sealed. Freedom, often mistaken as the ability to evade all suffering, ironically becomes our confinement. However, there exists a path to liberation. Breaking free from this cycle requires discerning between pleasure and purpose. While pleasure may ensnare us, purpose has the power to emancipate us. This distinction is the focal point of our exploration ahead. What is your true quest in life? Happiness or meaning? Pleasure or purpose? While the answer may appear evident, have you genuinely paused to ponder upon it? Contemporary society ingrains in us the belief that happiness is the ultimate aspiration. Yet, what does it truly furnish us with happiness? A perpetual stream of transitory delights. Social media likes, impulsive purchases, ephemeral indulgences, frivolous encounters, binge-watching episodes, and processed food that momentarily gratifies, but inevitably leaves us hollow. These pursuits afford us brief contentment, devoid of lasting fulfillment. Herein lies the crux of the issue. Pleasure is invariably transient. It necessitates incessant replenishment. Otherwise, the void within resurfaces. Reflect on the most profound junctures in your existence. Were they instances of instantaneous gratification, or instances of struggle, endeavor, and triumph? Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, espoused in Man's Search for meaning that human beings cannot subsist without a sense of purpose. He observed that even in the direst of circumstances, those who discovered a deeper meaning in their lives were the ones who endured and preserved their sanity. This presents the paradox. The pursuit of ceaseless pleasure enervates us, whereas the pursuit of purpose fortifies us. Pleasure is alluring, instantaneous, and habit-forming. On the contrary, purpose entails effort, discipline, and resilience. Unlike pleasure, purpose is enduring rather than fleeting. It nurtures something within us and provides us with a driving force. However, modern society discourages the pursuit of purpose as it requires significant time and effort to cultivate through introspection and a steadfast resistance to suffering. This conflicting ideal challenges the prevailing culture of instant gratification. Individuals who discover their true purpose in life do not seek constant distractions or fill every moment with shallow amusements. They remain unswayed by hollow promises of immediate joy. This divergence from immediate consumption logic explains why we are bombarded with distractions that steer us away from seeking purpose. A purpose-driven individual poses a threat to a system that thrives on our emotional reliance. If you sense a void in your life, consider that the solution may lie not in seeking more pleasure, but in embracing less. Perhaps the key lies in minimizing distractions rather than seeking more of them. Reflect on what truly inspires you and propels you out of bed each morning. Are you merely indulging in temporary pleasures, or are you constructing something of significance? How do you liberate yourself from this cycle and reclaim control over your own thoughts? This will be explored in the following segment. Upon grasping the implications of how the relentless pursuit of pleasure ensnares individuals, a pivotal question emerges. How does one break free from this snare and reclaim dominion over their own psyche within a society bent on keeping them distracted, numbed, and emotionally reliant? It is imperative to recognize that this undertaking will not be facile. The very framework is primed for your downfall. It thrives on your perpetual quest for instant gratification, your continuous feeding of algorithms with your focus, your unending consumption. Nonetheless, an escape exists, and it commences with your deliberate realization of the orchestrated game at play. The initial stratagem to disrupt this cycle involves a calculated deprivation of hedonistic contentment. This does not entail embracing asceticism and renouncing all sources of amusement, but rather mastering the conscious modulation of exposure to habit-forming stimuli. The predicament lies not in pleasure itself, but in its exploitation as a tool of manipulation against you. By refraining from certain indulgences for a duration, be it social media, highly processed foods, or compulsive entertainment, a remarkable transformation occurs. Your mind readjusts. It rediscovers contentment in modest joys, diminishing the unchecked craving for artificial stimuli. The subsequent phase involves fortifying your capacity for discomfort. To recover your autonomy, it is imperative to rediscover the ability to navigate tedium, vexation, and the absence of perpetual stimulation. To achieve this, it involves embracing moments of silence, disconnecting from the constant stream of information, and simply being present without the need to occupy every instant with distractions. Initially, this will pose challenges as your brain, accustomed to regular spikes of dopamine, clamors for more. However, by exerting self-discipline, you'll come to realize something profound. Discomfort is not fatal. Rather, it serves to fortify you. The subsequent step entails fostering critical thinking. Inquire within. What drives my incessant urge for diversion? Who gains from my dependency on immediate gratification? What endeavors could I pursue if not ensnared in this cycle of fleeting pleasures? With each query, you'll unearth that many of your inclinations and cravings were not genuinely of your choosing. They were instilled by the prevailing framework. Yet, only those who probe these interrogations can take the initial strides in reshaping their own fate. The fourth stage, arguably the most paramount, necessitates swapping instant gratification with enduring purpose. As previously deliberated, the pursuit of significance stands as the ultimate cure to the captivity of instant delights. Therefore, challenge yourself. What holds genuine worth to me? What aspirations do I long to actualize? How can I infuse my life with greater significance? These are arduous inquiries, yet they constitute the sole ones of true consequence. Nevertheless, there exists a quandary. Even if you commence detaching from this cycle, the surrounding society will remain deeply entrenched within it. When you make the decision to embrace change, an inevitable shift occurs. Your transformation will alter how people perceive you. Some will admire your evolution, while others may push back. As you liberate yourself, you serve as a reflection, revealing aspects that others may wish to keep hidden. This introspection leads us to our final exploration. If you've reached this point, a seed of change has already been planted within you. You've come to understand that the endless pursuit of pleasure does not equate to true freedom. Instead, it perpetuates a cycle of conditioning that entraps you. Society today doesn't necessarily need physical constraints to control you. It simply nudges you towards avoiding discomfort at all costs. Now that you recognize this entrapment, the pivotal question arises. How will you utilize this newfound awareness? Escaping this system demands more than sheer determination. It entails swimming against the prevailing currents, eschewing the easier routes, and acknowledging that genuine freedom often accompanies solitude and pushback. As you shift your focus from distractions to clarity, you begin to perceive reality. Recognizing the blindness that still envelops many around you, some will commend your vision, while others may resist it. Your transformation may unsettle some, for your liberation poses a challenge to their illusions. They might attempt to tether you to the status quo, assuring you that the current system is flawless and that life is meant for unbridled enjoyment. Yet, armed with newfound knowledge, you perceive the truth. Pleasure without a purpose ultimately leads to a form of enslavement. The decision is in your hands. You can persist in your current way of life, preoccupying yourself with distractions, constantly pursuing the next dopamine rush, and neglecting the growing void within you. Alternatively, you can reclaim authority over your thoughts, cultivate a sense of purpose, and evolve into an individual who cannot be easily influenced. However, I am curious, what will you choose? Have you ever found yourself ensnared in this never-ending cycle? Have you observed how society utilizes pleasure to maintain control? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, as questioning serves as the initial step toward liberation. If this video has provided you with a newfound perspective, kindly like and subscribe to the channel. In this space, we do not conform blindly. We engage in critical inquiry, introspection, and the pursuit of understanding hidden realities. Should you wish to continue this journey of self-exploration and emancipation, please hit the subscribe button and enable notifications, as this marks just the commencement. I look forward to connecting with you in the forthcoming video.